Hello there, welcome to video newsletter number 2. And they said it'd never last, and yet here we are. Well then, now, I had quite a few emails asking lots of different questions and things like that, so I'll run through a few very quick ones before we get on to the main topic, stuff like that. And people say, why do I train boxing so much? Well, being the national boxing coach in Cambodia is one of the main things. So I've got to keep that up. And also, most of my training today really is solo training. And for me, that's what I find the most beneficial to do. It keeps up the fitness, the conditioning, the punch power, movement, timing. Timing not so much solo, but you'll understand what I mean. And I just believe that if you can continuously hit a bag as hard as, for as long as, then when it comes down to it, at least you know you've got the right mindset and all that other stuff. And at least you know you can land a good one. So for me, that's why I do so much boxing. It's solitary training 99% of the time. So a lot of people were saying, and this is a longer one now, a lot of people were saying that they have problems making pressure points work, which I'll come on to. And a lot of people were talking about drilling. They heard me rant on and on before, and especially on the YouTube, about correct drilling. And so people want an update on what do I mean. Okay, so let's do the drilling first. Okay, the whole point of drilling is to improve, not only for yourself, but also for your training partner. So when you're drilling, as a very simple example, if you're always able to land the jab on me, I should be saying to you, what am I doing wrong? Why are you landing the jab? And not only that, I would also want to know what you are doing right, in so much as what enables you to land the jab so well and so often. And you do that with absolutely everything. Of course, you start light and slow because you're helping each other, and you gradually build up the intensity to such a stage whereby you're going pretty fast, pretty hard, or full speed in lowish power so that you're not getting hurt when you're doing it, but at least the other person knows when you've got through. Now, you can have that as a target, as say a pad that you're holding under one of your chins, and the other guy's got to try and hit it, and you've got to just use movement or parry or whatever to stop it from happening. The only limit to drills is your imagination, your ability, okay, and whatever it is that you want to practice. So you can take the same principles for everything that you do, whether it be striking, grappling, self-defense stuff, whatever it may be, scenario training, the whole lot. The key with it all is that you understand that you're there to help each other, and that you must ask the question, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong? And at the end of the drill, you tell each other what you're doing right and wrong as well, if you haven't self-corrected. And if you're a coach and you don't get people drilling properly, shame on you. And if you're a fighter, a practitioner, a student or whatever, and your coach, Sifu, sensei, whatever they're called, isn't getting you to drill properly, I would suggest you think about changing your coach, sensei, Sifu, instructor, whatever they're called. All right? It's essential that you drill correctly because that will build your skills. There's an age-old saying that drills build the skills and skills pay the bills. All right? So drilling correctly is an absolute necessity in your training. It will skyrocket your ability. Trust me on that one. So the next one was that people having trouble making pressure points work. Now this is a very, very common thing, and I've covered it before on various lessons, various videos. Some are on the YouTube, some are in the members only section on my website. But the basics of it are this, is that I make no excuse for the fact that it's a learned skill. Now, the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to make pressure points work is that they look on a chart or they look on a video and they see that somebody's pointed out a pressure point here or a pressure point there or whatever, and they go up and they hit it, and not much happens. Or they press it and not much happens. And invariably, these people then turn around and go, I hit that point, it didn't work, therefore pressure points don't work, therefore you're full of BS. I can't make a jumping, spinning 540 kick work. Does that mean Taekwondo is full of... anyway, you get my point. So what happens is that other people look at charts and they see these points all over the place. They go, oh, there it is, smack. Not much happened, or nothing happened. Load of old cobblers. And they throw the baby out with the dishwater, I suppose, with the bathwater, so to speak. The points are not on the surface, they're deep. They're deep. You know, when I teach people pressure points here on the mentoring program or something like that, we go through this in depth. And depth is the key. I show them first how pressure points don't work. And we can prove that they don't work because I can't make them work, they can't make them work. Because why? Because we're doing it wrong. Then I show them just the tiniest little change, and all of a sudden the pain is ridiculous and everything works. Now, there's a caveat to all of this, is that your technique should be correct first. I've always said that the pressure points are something that you add to the end of an already good technique. So, as an example, a silly example to make a point, if my big right hand couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding, then hitting a point ain't going to do me much good, is it? But if my right hand is a good, solid right hand, and I add the points to it, I massively amplify the effect of that strike. But the strike should also be a good one on its own. Same if you're doing a takedown, a throw, a lock, a choke, a strangle. If it ain't on, it ain't on. If the lock ain't on, it ain't a lock. If the strangle ain't on, they ain't going to sleep. So all of these things require that the technique is good to start with, which is why I put so much time and effort into what we call the players, the technique enhancers, the bits that make technique work. So when people come here to train with me and they want to learn pressure point fighting, of course that's what they learn, but the foundation that I make sure that they get is all of those technique enhancers, so that then towards the end of their training, the pressure points just work for them, and they'll work on everybody. People talk about non-responders and this 80-20 thing and this bell curve and all of that sort of rubbish. I've heard it all before. I've seen it all before with all the so-called experts and so-called masters and all that sort of stuff. I ain't met a non-responder. I'll say it again. I ain't met a non-responder, and I've trained with some absolute monsters, all right? And I ain't met one yet. Well, I tell a lie. There was a non-responder, and I'll explain what it was. There was a chap from Liverpool who'd had a massive accident as a child and had severe nerve damage and everything else, and he didn't feel pain. He used to be able to put cigarettes out on his arm and on his body, jump off like 10-foot walls and land on his head sort of thing, and not feel any pain or anything like that. Very weird. However, everything that you did to him when you connected the dots, so to speak, his body reacted in the right way. He said he doesn't know what pain is because he's never felt it, can't remember what it is, but he can't understand why he was falling over. So, although he didn't feel pain, and in that respect you can call him a non-responder, he did keep falling to the floor and wondering what was going on. So, If you've got any other questions, let me know. If you've got any comments, please leave them. But I hope that's answered the questions of those that sent it in. If you've got anything else you want to know, let me know, and we'll add it on video newsletter number 3, coming to the screens very soon. See you later.